Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Pen Vicarage on this lovely, albeit cool but lovely Friday morning. Great to see you, and thank you for joining us for our Bible talk for today. May I remind you, we are a couple of weeks now away from Good Friday and so on, and we have lots of good services at St Bart's and St Anne's in Penn, but also in Tamworth as well. And you'd be very, very welcome to join us. As I say, do come along. At Penn on Maundy Thursday, there's an all-night vigil. Starting at about 6 o'clock on Maundy Thursday through to Good Friday morning. There's a Tenebrae service at both churches, St Edith's, Tamworth, and at St Bart's Penn, both at 5:30. Lots of good services, Sunday morning worship, welcome the resurrected Christ, lots of great opportunities to worship. Come and join us, we'd love to see you, and you'd be very welcome. Just put that for your diaries for now. Now, for our Bible talks, I did say a few days ago that chapters 23, 24 and 25 are very challenging, and I'm sure you can see now what I was talking about. Chapter 23, you have Jesus not mincing his words, and in chapter 24, lots of stuff about the destruction of the temple and the return of Christ. It's tough stuff. It's worth looking at, but it's tough stuff. So congratulations on bearing with us so far. We're now in chapter 25, which is a little easier. It's not easy, but it's still a little easier than it was. But anyway, congratulations on bearing with us on this. It's good stuff. There's a lot to learn, but as I say, thank you for staying with it. But the great thing about doing the Bible this way is you start at the beginning and go to the end of a book. You get the good, the bad, and the ugly bits, and you get to really get stuck into the whole text rather than just the bits that you like. So well done staying with it. And anyway, chapter 25 today. We're going to read this morning chapter 25 of Matthew, verses 1 to 13. So here goes. Jesus said, "Then the kingdom of heaven will be like this. 10 bridesmaids took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, 5 were wise. When the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them, but the wise took flasks of oil with their lamps. As the bridegroom was delayed, all of them became drowsy and slept. But at midnight there was a shout, 'Look, here is the bridegroom, come out to meet him.' And all those bridesmaids got up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish said to the wise, 'Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out.' But the wise replied, 'No, there'll not be enough for you and for us. You'd better go for the dealers and buy some for yourselves.' But when they went to buy it, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went with him into the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later the other bridesmaids came also, saying, 'Lord, open to us.' But he replied, 'Truly I tell you, I do not know you. Keep awake, therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour.'" And this is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Right, the passage of the wise and foolish virgins, as it's commonly known. Firstly, I think you have to remember that chapter divisions were not on the original text, but have been put in later. And chapter 25 obviously follows on from chapter 24. It's the same person talking, and it's probably part of the same talk. And Jesus has just been talking about the destruction of Jerusalem, the destruction of the temple, and the destruction, and also his return. And I think, if I'm honest with you, I think the first thing we can say, Jesus says quite clearly the importance of staying awake, the importance of not being complacent in our Christian faith, of making sure that we are awake to what God is doing, that we keep our faith alive, we keep our faith awake, that we keep praying, we keep reading the Bible, we keep meeting up as church, and we keep doing all the things that Christians should do. And we need to keep our faith alive. And this, I think, obviously, is a warning against complacency. I said yesterday, we don't know when Christ is going to come back. He might come back tomorrow. He might come back, I don't know, 50 years' time. He might not come back in our lifetime. We don't know when Jesus is going to come back. I mean, he doesn't know. Only the Father knows. But the name of the game is being prepared, just in case he does. So this, I think, the first and obvious message from this is avoid complacency. Make sure that, as I say, that we are alive to our faith, that God is very much alive to us, that we live enough in God, with God, and so on, so that if Jesus does come back tomorrow, we're not caught, so to speak, with our pants down, if you see what I mean. So keep awake just in case. That's the first thing. But the other one I wanted to make is a little bit more subtle than that, but I think it's important that we learn it too. People people inevitably in life, some people drift away from the faith. And they drift away for all sorts of reasons, but sometimes the faith just kind of, they kind of lose heart and whatever, and they lose their faith, and and their faith doesn't stand the test of time. And I think what Jesus is saying here, really, he's giving us a clue as to how to make sure that we keep our faith going. And he talks about, and it's a bit strange because you've got weddings in the middle of the night and this type of stuff. It takes a bit of getting your head round. But he talks about oil in the lamp. And now he talks about some people who kept their oil full and some people didn't. And because the people that filled their lamps full of oil, they got plenty to keep them going all night, okay? But the people that hadn't got enough, their lamps, their oil ran out before midnight. They hadn't got enough oil to keep them going for the wedding. They had to go and get some more. So the wise ones had filled their lamps, which had enough oil to keep them going. The foolish ones hadn't, and therefore didn't. And I think that's the key, because in the Bible, oil is code for joy. And I think what he's basically warning us to do, or advising us very strongly to do, is to make sure that we keep our joy levels high, keep our oil levels going, keep our joy levels high, that we keep ourselves full of the joy of the Lord, such that when times get tough, when times get challenging or whatever, that we've got enough joy in our Christian lives to keep us going. Tough times will come. There'll be times when it'll feel like the Lord is delaying in his coming. There'll be times when we'll go through tough times in our Christian life. There will be times when we have disappointments. There'll be times when things don't do the way we expected. There'll be times when God doesn't do what we expect God to do. There'll be times when God doesn't do things that we think God should do. All sorts of things happen in our Christian life which can make it hard from time to time. There are all sorts of times in life when we can feel as though, like they felt in the reading, that the bridegroom is delayed in his coming. Come on, Lord, we can think to ourselves sometimes, and our faith can be a challenge. But what the wise people do is they've got enough oil in their lamp. What wise people do is make sure that they've got enough joy in their Christian lives to keep them going when times get tough. And what I think is also interesting is that they're responsible for themselves. They don't blame other people for not having enough oil in their lamp. It's we all have responsibility for ourselves to make sure that we have enough oil in our lamp. We can always blame the church. We can always blame other people. But quite clearly in this, each bridesmaid is responsible for what's in their own lamp. Each bridesmaid is responsible for making sure there's enough oil in there to keep them going. And I think, therefore, we need to make sure that there's enough joy in our Christian life, that we've got enough interest, that, we've got enough to keep us going when times get tough. So my recommendation is that we find what we like, what helps us and blesses us in our Christian faith. If prayer meetings are what does it for you, then make sure you find yourself a prayer meeting. If, like me, reading the Bible is what fires you up in your Christian life, make sure that you read the Bible regularly and that you're engaging people with the scriptures. If worship sessions, whatever it will be, choral or whether it be charismatic or whatever it will be, if that's what fires you up in your Christian life, make sure that you get that, get enough of that to keep you going. Basically, make sure you've got enough oil in your lamp to keep you going in your faith. Make sure you've got enough joy in your Christian life to keep you going when times get tough, because come they will. So, in this famous passage of the wise and foolish virgins, two things I think from it this morning. Firstly, it's a warning against complacency, to make sure that we keep awake, that we keep alert, be aware that such that if Jesus did come back this time tomorrow, we wouldn't be caught unawares if he did. But the second thing is, remember that oil is code for joy. And we need to make sure that we all, in our own Christian lives, keep enough joy there that'll keep us going when times get tough, because tough they will. Hope that makes sense. God bless you, and more tomorrow. Oh, and beg your pardon, more on Monday. Have a lovely weekend. Great to see you, Do join us at church, either online or face to face. We'd love to see you. Have a blessed weekend, and more on